I met a celebrity but didn't let on that I knew who they were. Story 1. My dad and I bumped into Michael Jordan at a Walgreens near Chicago around 2006. We were picking out birthday cards for my mom, and MJ and his son came into the same aisle browsing some cards. My dad kept his cool and continued looking through different cards, giving MJ his personal space. I, on the other hand, was 9 years old and in awe, sort of staring at him. After MJ picked out his card, he winked at me and gave me a walk by fist bump. It didn't really sink in until I was older how cool that was. 2. I worked at a Barnes Noble in NY as a clerk, but occasionally, I'd help out at the in-store Starbucks cafe when they were understaffed. One time, Alan Rickman came up and ordered something. I can't recall what. I wrote Hans Gruber on his cup. He smiled at me when he noticed it. 3. I was in a bookstore in the horror section. I picked up a book by Stephen King, flipped it over, and saw his picture on the back, or inside the cover, I don't really remember. I looked up, and in the next aisle over, right across the bookshelf from me, was a guy who looked exactly like Stephen King. So I held up the book and said, "Is this you?" "Yeah, good books, thanks." And that was that. 4. My husband was vacationing in Arizona, killing time in a bar over a burger and a beer. A guy sat next to him, and my husband had a nice chat with him. The guy left, and my husband went to close his tab, only to find out it had been covered by the guy he was talking to. The bartender asked if he knew who he was talking to. My husband had no idea. It was Chuck Norris. It was his bar. 5. I helped Steven Spielberg move his daughter's bags into her college dorm. I was working a shift helping first years move in and saw a guy in a hat and sunglasses who was unmistakably Spielberg. I struck up a conversation, asked if he needed help with the bags, etc. First names only. We're from CA. My wife, Kate, and I sent all our kids to East Coast schools though. Stuff like that. Later, when his daughter opened the door for the first time, he whipped out a camcorder and, wearing the biggest dad grin, recorded the whole thing before turning the camera on my friend and me to ask us about the city. So, I have a supporting, The Luggage, speaking role in a limited release, home movie, film shot by Steven Spielberg. 6. Worked at a hotel, and Russell Crowe came into the lobby. He went to the house phones and called the front desk, where I was working. I could see him pretty easily. I answered the phone, and he asked to be connected to a room, so I put him through. This wasn't long after he threw a phone at a hotel clerk, so I didn't want to risk pissing him off. 7. I used to be a server at a Mexican restaurant right outside LA in the late 90s. One day, Leonardo DiCaprio came in with who I assume was his mom to have lunch. This would have been post-Titanic, so at the peak of his breakthrough mega celebrity status. He was wearing a ball cap, sunglasses, and was unshaven, but I recognized him anyway. I didn't let anyone know, and I wrote something like, "Your movies are awesome. I hope you liked our food" on his receipt when I dropped it off at the table. After he left, I swung by and picked up his payment. He had left me a note that said, "Thank you so much for not blowing my cover," with a $100 tip. It was awesome. I was only 19 and went and got some PlayStation games with it after my shift ended. 8. I was walking out of a gas station on Crescent Heights in Sunset when I heard a hey coming from a cracked window on a tinted-out Range Rover parked at one of the pumps. I walked over to the car and saw Jeff Goldblum, who had somehow seen my gold ring from 20 feet away. He proceeded to tell me